to Ignite Humanity Live. I'm your guest, Lady JB Owen, and I'm so happy to be here today. We're talking all about ways that you can ignite humanity. That's right, you can do exactly what it is you need to do to ignite the lives of others. Absolutely. Each and every one of us can do something powerful in our lives to create a ripple effect of igniting those around us. And so we're here today, and I'm bringing you guests from around the globe talking about ways that they are igniting humanity, and we are live on location in Los Angeles doing it one-on-one so you get the absolute impact that my guests are sharing with you on how you can ignite humanity. Now, if this is your first time here, you can go to ignitehumanity.life/watch and see all the episodes we're doing here in Los Angeles and from the beginning of time as the show is progressing, and we are coming to you Monday to Friday live talking about ways for you to ignite humanity. Just head on over to ignitehumanity.life/watch, and all those episodes are available to you absolutely free. We make it easy and convenient for you to check out ways that you can ignite humanity. Now, when it comes to igniting humanity, we want to show you things that you can do every single day in your home, in your family, little incremental things that you can do create this massive impact. Have you heard of the butterfly effect? A butterfly flapping its wings in the Amazon can cause a hurricane across the other side of the planet in Hawaii just by creating these small incremental impacts that create a huge movement. And we want to encourage you to do exactly the same. Now, lots of fun things are happening because it's the month of February, and that means it's Love Month, and we want to share with you, if you want to share some love and give something beautiful to some kids around the globe, we're building schools, and that's one of the ways that we are igniting humanity. And we have an initiative right now called Bouquets of Hope. That's right, $12 buys 12 bricks in our schools, and once you do that, you just tell us who to send the recipient to, and we will send them a virtual bouquet of flowers that actually helps build our schools. And so $12 buys 12 bricks, and you can do that at ignitehumanity.life/hope and talk about ways that you can ignite lives through bouquets of hope. All right, well, let's have some fun with our guest. We're talking today about inspiration, ways that you can feel inspired when it comes to igniting humanity. And we have an amazing guest. This is Giovanna Garcia-Pons. She is helping people convert their star power into impact. And here she is on the show. Welcome, darling.
Why, thank you for having me, Lady JB. Glad to be here.
I'm so happy that you came because I love star power and I love impact and I love helping people get from A to Z and do it in the little incremental ways that creates big impact. Tell us what it means when we talk about converting our own personal star power into impact.
Yeah, so we all are the star of our own movie.
It's true.
We are the headliner, and it should always be that way. And sometimes along our journeys, we forget that. And the most important thing is to be reunited with it and then do something with it. What lights you up? What can you pass on to others? Whatever small bit and piece it can be to help someone move forward or even relate to your own journey.
Now, you said reunited, and I want to say reignited.
That's right.
Because sometimes we lose our way. You know, we get caught up in the day-to-day. There's a lot of difficulties going on. We know how hard it is right now in the world with everything that's going on. But we want to shift the needle because hard is just, again, a construct. There's a lot of good going on. There's a lot of people like yourself who are doing things that are actually, you know, creating this momentum, this new tidal wave of how do we ignite humanity around the globe. Share how your philosophies can help somebody watching the show.
Absolutely. So it goes back to our star power. It's owning our star power, stepping into who we truly are. That sometimes we're afraid to do that because of how we're going to look or what people are going to say. And along the way, you know, society often just misinterprets the way that we should be in telling us how we should, and we get further away from who we are. So not being afraid to really step into your star power as to who you are, because from that place is where the magic happens. That's where people are affected by you. People want to look onto you. They can relate to you. And it doesn't matter what your story is, because there is not a small story or a large story. It is your story, and everybody needs to hear it in order to relate to you in some kind of way, which they are going to.
Right. It makes me think of, remember when Tom Cruise slid across the floor in his socks and he was like acting like a superstar in that movie? Or, we see people singing into the brush. I mean, it doesn't have to be the star power that maybe you're feeling like, I'm not going to be in the bright lights and I don't want to be on camera. But star power is really about like owning your gifts and your talents. Tell me more.
Yeah, it's your inner light. We all have it. And along the way, because life happens, our light gets dimmed just a little bit. And it's becoming into the awareness of, am I really being that light that I was chosen to be? So it's our inner light, our inner self.
Right. And so many people talk about you have to have darkness to have light, right? I mean, if there was no darkness, we wouldn't know what light is. And so many of us right now, more than ever, are going through some dark times. And yet the light is really what diminishes the darkness. Can you share a little bit about with the dichotomy? You have to have a bit of both, and they go hand in hand in a way.
Yeah. And thank you for bringing that up, because I actually am very passionate about dark and light. And in what sense? So I believe in holding polarities. So life is going to happen, right? There's sometimes that we're going to have good days and bad days. But if you know and can hold both at the same time and really step into that discomfort, what happens is that's when we grow a little bit bigger. Our capacity gets larger, which means that there's bigger and better things ahead for us that will come to us. For example, like I say, someone wins the lottery tomorrow. We have millions and millions of dollars. If we're not ready for that, more than likely, we're going to lose it. The only way that we're ready for that is going through the dark and the light, because it expands us into holding that capacity that we need.
And darkness really, again, it's just something that we can reframe in a way that supports us. When you're feeling that darkness, or you're feeling like this feels like a dark time in my life, I kind of get excited, because it means that the light is on its way. Because if we don't have the darkness, if we just have the vanilla or the gray or the fog, we're not really aligning ourselves with where it is we're going. Because many times our darkness actually becomes the beacon, the North Star to our mission and our purpose.
It does, which reminds me that the darkness is usually the in-between, the guck. And if we can find moments to be in that darkness, what happens is amazing. There's clarity, there's answers, there's ideas, there's things that come to you, which a lot of the times that means being in silence with yourself. And during the darkness, that is probably one of the most prime times to be able to give into that, to knowing that if you do that, the light is right around the corner, like you mentioned.
Right. And we didn't know we were going to talk about darkness.
Yeah.
And so the fact that it came up, it means that somebody out there needs to hear it. And I would love to say, sometimes when you're in the darkness, like think about when you're lying in bed at night and it's dark, what's happening? Your other senses are activated, right?
That's exactly right.
You start to hear different things. You start to feel, you start to smell. And so there's a lot of things that are happening in us physiologically, emotionally, spiritually, that are this percolating towards the next step, our next chapter, right? We talk about chapters in our lives. And so let's go back a few chapters.
Okay.
There was a time in your life, maybe it was dark, but there was a chapter in your life where you had to make a decision to go to the light, to find a brighter version of yourself, to create impact. Can you share a little bit about where you've come from? Because everyone is looking at you, they're listening to you, they're seeing, she's so put together, she's amazing, she doesn't have any darkness in her.
Oh boy, and that's certainly not correct. My story is very, I think, general in that a lot of people can relate to. I spent 16 years in the corporate world and really came to what I think is the true identity theft, which is losing your identity to a title after the loss of my role in a company. And the biggest thing for me was that one day I woke up and I said, something's not right. I'm not myself. And I was not able to bounce back like I normally did. I've always been positive. I've always persevered and was able to get into action, but I couldn't. I found myself just paralyzed. And it was so frustrating because I beat myself up. I couldn't understand how to get out of it. And boy, during that time, did I really find respect for mental health, because it's in our darkness where something clicks in us that says, no, this is not where I'm supposed to be. I'm going to fight and do whatever possible to seek what's best for me so I can come back to me and reignite that light within so that I can go out and impact. That's my story. It's pretty simple. And I think a lot of people can relate to that.
I so agree. I mean, many people are struggling with their work where they feel like they belong. And many people feel like they are their job title, or they are their, their, what their colleagues think or what their boss thinks. And they're truly attached to their identity being in their work. Now, what did we just go through? An incredible time in history where people were staying home and people weren't showing up at work. And so I think a lot of people can relate to your story. How did you push your way through it? Today's all about inspiration. What was that inspiration that you found?
Yeah, so really I'm about simplicity. Just starting with the little things, because those little things add up to big changes. So how could I show up every day and just do one small thing? And it's as simple as starting with my health, because when we do go through things that kind of take us off track of life, our health does suffer, whether we're treating our bodies unfairly, we're drinking too much, maybe eating too much. So for me, it's how do I show up every day intentionally and make a small commitment as easy as let's start taking care of a health. Let's start drinking water. Let's start getting enough sleep. For me, the basics is so important because from there, I can springboard off to just about anything.
And why does that happen? I mean, I'm notorious for getting into my office chair and not going to the bathroom, holding it, not drinking water, not getting up to eat, not taking the time that really, like, my body is the vessel of what's going to keep me going and showing up. And yet we're willing to sacrifice it.
And I'll give you a little hint into why. And that is because we are built as high achievers. We want to achieve, become accomplished. That's the way that we validate ourselves and acknowledge what we're doing is right and it brings value to us. And sometimes that can work against us. It can self-sabotage because then we feel like we're not doing enough. So it's just having that awareness to be able to step back and say, okay, do I need to take a break, right? Is what I'm doing today really going to make that difference? And most of the times, and we've heard it before, when we slow down, we get faster. So I think it's a little bit of a syndrome of being a high achiever and wanting to do great things and make that impact every day. But sometimes we do have to step back and think about ourselves.
And everyone is a high achiever. In all honesty, like it may be, you may not realize it, but think about it. Your craft, your hobby, your love for camping, your hiking, the time you take to make rainbow pancakes for your kids.
I'd say being a mother. Correct.
Right. I mean, I meticulously made sure those cupcakes had every little, Fozzie Bear hair on them. There are times when we're high achievers and it's not about business and it's not about the dollar amounts. Many of us, in fact, all of us really in the desire to create this evolution of humanity, we aspire for achieving something. And maybe it's a comic book or, an afternoon with tea. That word achievement actually is ingrained in us. And some of us have put a lot of onus on it in the effect of dollar amounts, but many people are achieving great things. And I know you folks at home are doing that. You just haven't really assigned that. So you help people notice their achievements and catapult them into a superpower.
Which that was very nicely put. It speaks right to it. I would add, while setting boundaries because I think that's so important for everyone. And think about it. We tend to overextend ourselves to things that come easy to us. And we sometimes forget the value because it comes easy. So setting boundaries and coming in and really having defined priorities is so important. And that's really what I teach people around the awareness and having those building blocks for them to be able to build impact and get to the results that ultimately they're seeking.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I don't love the word boundaries because I'm a visual person. So as soon as you say a word, I think of like a barrier, a barricade, you can't pass this line. And so what you're really saying is setting up like some structure and some systems and some bumper rails to really help people know that the boundary is actually the container that allows the safety and the health to create the catapult, the ignition, the spark.
Yeah, and you bring up a great point because words do have power and boundaries does have a little bit of a negative connotation to it. So I would replace it by establishing your priorities.
Yeah.
What do you love most about your life that you want to keep near and dear? Because within that is what you want to achieve and accomplish and work towards. So if we look at it of identifying what's important to me and keeping that safe, that I think is a little bit more approachable and understandable.
And there are people at home thinking, well, I want to be a high achiever. I just don't know what that looks like. Do you have some solutions, some ideas, some inspiration for them?
So high achiever, again, back to words. Society glorifies high achievers. So they're constantly wanting you to be that high achiever. And so it's about stepping back first and really owning and knowing who you are. And it's back to your inner light, your star power, because that's your high achiever. That's what you do. And you set that definition as to what you want to do with it. That right there is really where the high achieving begins, because you set that marker. And you know what, for some people, they're already doing it and they're perfectly content and fulfilled doing what they do today, being a mom, or they've reached high in the corporate ladder. So it just comes back to having the awareness for yourself, right? And not letting society like poke you on what high achieving needs to be.
Defining it. So go back to when you were no longer working in your position and you felt like you had to redefine yourself a little bit.
Oh boy. And that was not a fun process. Honestly, it took me a couple of years. And I think I know that that's why I do what I do today, because I needed the tools and resources. I wanted to know the why, the how, the what, the when, because I was so used to getting into action. So for me, that time was just back to really going back to who am I? What do I like? What do I like to eat? What's my favorite color? We forget about those things, There's those simple questions that we get asked and we don't know. So it was back to defining that. And then honestly, just being very patient and giving myself a lot of grace.
Isn't it interesting how we reach a certain age and it's like we almost have to learn about who we are again, and we move through changes in our lives where it's like, I'm not 20 anymore, or I'm not 30, or I'm not 12. Like, we have to start redefining ourselves, and yet sometimes we feel like we have to keep being the same person over and over again because people have put us in that box or that expectation. And sometimes these ignite moments where we lose our job or we have to redefine who we are, or something comes and just shakes it up like no tomorrow, that allows us to go into that reinventive search, that tantalizing, who am I? What do I really love now in my life?
It is. And it's an awakening. It's when all of a sudden you're catapulted in what I call the second half of your life. And it doesn't matter how old you are. It's just that we quit being robotic. And now we're aware of everything that's happened to us. And we want to take back control of how we're being and doing. Because if you think about it, along the way, as we're growing up, we are set to go through milestones that are pretty much labeled for us by our parents. And we get to a point where now it's kind of up to us to say, okay, I don't want to go through these milestones. I mean, we can talk about women getting married older now, having children older, not when you used to do that in your 20s. It's stepping back, really like grounding and anchoring who you are and not allowing the society milestones as you go further to define who you are, because that's where we change, where we try to be, let's say, that good person that does what society says we're supposed to be doing.
Right. And it kind of comes to labeling a little bit too, like, oh, I'm going through my midlife crisis, or, oh, I'm in my later years, or, oh, I'm, having mummy, the mummy years, or like mummy things are happening. Like we kind of label ourselves a little bit. And what you said about the power of words, how about labeling yourself with star power or exceptional, or labeling yourself with impactor, or what we're talking about every single day here on the show is somebody who wants to ignite humanity. I know that's a big concept for a lot of people, but we each have the ability to ignite humanity in the small little things that we do. So give us a solution, an inspiration. What's something really little that's, has a big impact that you like to do?
For me, it's the simplest thing is that when I'm out in public, and you can always tell if someone is going to be intentional about an action. So something as small as I'm walking in, let's say it's a grocery store or gas station, and the person holds the door wide open for me. That to me is intention, that person wanted to do something nice. So when someone does something like that with me, I make it a point to literally stop, look at them in the eyes and say, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Right.
And that's it. That's the simplicity. You made a connection with a stranger. You acknowledged what they did because they were being intentional about wanting to be nice. And then you gave it back to them and you made them feel good for it. It's that simple.
I know. And I kind of have fun in the grocery store. Like when I bump into somebody or we go to meet and we kind of do that, I always be like, oh, I must be meant to say hello to you, because why make that moment awkward? Like, why not make it fun, and why not make it interesting? And you never know, like sometimes those turn into conversations, which turn into experiences. When you're traveling, you meet great people when you just say hello and you really look people in the eye. There's something powerful.
Exactly. Huge. Again, we can say the eyes are the path to the soul, right?
To the soul. Exactly. Well, I'd love to just give our viewers a tiny little bit. Is there something that you feel that, this is a big question. And if you can encapsulate it in one word, what's going to ignite humanity? I know.
I have to go with the first word. And I'm sorry, love.
Yeah.
Love. And we can go back to spiritual times, Mary Magdalene, all about love. And it's the foundation, in my opinion, to just anything.
Yeah, love really is. And again, I watched this great movie and they were talking about being madly in love. And it was the first time I really thought madly, like who wants to be madly? Who wants to be mad in love? Like love is really there's a lot of different energy around, and we somehow have made madly in love, falling in love, head over heels in love. Actually not as empowering as it could be, consciously in love, collectively, loving, supportive love, like those kinds of things. I really do agree with you. They're absolutely going to ignite humanity. Well, tell people where they can find you if they want to know more about what you're up to.
Absolutely. So Instagram at GeoBalance. So that's GIO Balance. Also my webpage, geobalance.com. I'm also on LinkedIn and Facebook.
And how do you feel if somebody was looking for you? What is the one problem that you love to solve?
It's taking away the anxiety and feeling paralyzed during a transition in their life or career.
That's big. Honestly.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, folks, if you're feeling stressed or having some anxiety and you could use some support, please reach out to Gio. And at the same time, if you're feeling like you're ready to put on your superhero cape and do something powerful, catapult and ignite others, I'm sure Gio could support you in that also. There's a lot of things to unpack in this interview where we're talking about you get to define you. You are not set in a box and parameters, and yet it's really important for you to set boundaries and for you to set a way for you to have a great sacred container in your life. Look after your health. Be, focused on your wellness, because if you're going to make it to that 100-year mark and live as long as you can, you want to make sure you're taking care of you. There's so many great solutions and inspirations on this episode. So please, if you'd like to see Gio again and rewatch what she shared, go to ignitehumanity.life/watch and you can see all of our episodes. In fact, we are doing 240 episodes this year, all live, to share with you on how you can ignite humanity. We're bringing people from all over the globe, different countries, different backgrounds, different nationalities, different voices with different messages, so that you resonate with somebody on the show and you feel that what they shared aligns with you. And we're sharing Ignite Moments on purpose, because Ignite Moments ignite the mind. When somebody tells you what's going on in their life, you can relate to them more impactfully. When Gio shared what she's been through and her job and the things that were holding her back, how it was defined by her title, and then realized that she could move forward, that has allowed you, someone at home who really needed to hear that message, so they realize if she can do it, they can do it also. Ignite Moments make a huge impact. And in fact, we're so proud to have published over 700 Ignite stories, Ignite Moments, in our beautiful compilation books. And if you would like to tell your Ignite moment, go to our website, ignitehumanity.life, and check out some of the new books that we're publishing. Ignite Your Faith, Ignite Connection, Ignite Success, Ignite Your Courage, Ignite Your Purpose. They are all on the roster for this year, and we would love to hear your story and have you share your ignitement in one of our books. Now, if you love the show and you want to be a part of it, please go to ignitehumanity.life/share and fill out our form and tell us about you and what you're up to and how you're igniting the world, because we would love to have you on a guest. And if you know somebody who's doing the same and they're shy, but they would be great on the show, also fill out the type form for them and we will reach out to them and have them be on the show and talk about how they're igniting the planet. Now, just so you don't forget, if you've got $12 and you want to make a big impact, please go to ignitehumanity.life/hope and you can purchase 12 bricks to go towards our school build. We're building schools around the globe, and $12 buys 12 bricks. Now, these bricks have been used are made from plastic pulled out of the landfills. And that's an incredible initiative that we're doing, taking plastic garbage and helping the environment and turning them into blocks that go into our schools. It's an absolute win-win. And just $12 buys 12 bricks. And we need 35,000 bricks per school. So that means we need your help, we need your support, and we need your donation. Go to ignitehumanity.life/hope and you could buy a bouquet of hope. We'll send a virtual bouquet of hope to your loved one and recipient, and you get that win-win. You buy some bricks, the school gets built, your recipient receives a bouquet of hope, and you know that $12 made a big impact. Well, I'm so happy that you're joining us today and every day, Monday to Friday, we are here. And if you miss us, head on over to Facebook, because Ignite Television is going live every morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And you can catch us on Facebook. So if you're driving to work or you're having lunch or you're out and about or you're running through the park, put us on your Facebook and listen to our many guests and what we're up to at Ignite Humanity Live, because we are making a huge impact. Well, that's enough. I think I've told you it all. Thanks for being here. I'm Lady JB, your host. So pleasure and gracious to share with you. Go out and ignite some lives.
Now, more than ever, we need to come together to connect with one another. We need to feel the truth in who we are and let go of everything that's happened in the past. We need to empower every person on the planet and awaken hearts, enliven souls, come together, laugh, play, rejoice, connect, create, and love. It's time to ignite humanity. We want you to be a part of something that will impact the future for everyone. We want you to tell your story, share your Ignite moment, show people who you truly are. Be a part of igniting humanity and making a difference in the world and all of our futures.